Hey everyone, it's Drew from the Drewsperience. It's Sunday, but it's not just a typical Sunday. Montreal's in election season. But before I introduce the guests, if you're on Queen Mary in Côte-des-Neiges, make sure to check out Yasu on 5375 Queen Mary. Over 30 years from Manny and Chris. They make the best Greek food if you're in Montreal. I've been a regular here. Always quality, whether it's served by Irene, her sister, and others. Yasu's the best. They were nice enough to let me kind of use the restaurant as a quiet area for the two guests. So make sure to check out Yasu because they make the best Greek food on Queen Mary. Today's guest, wow. So Montreal, there's an election coming up, and obviously we just had a federal election, but municipal election is, I think, more important because that's the first interaction you have with politics. We all know the parties, Projet Montréal, Transition Montréal, Ensemble Montréal, and we have a new candidate in the race, Futur MTL, led by Jean-François Cacou. I wanted to get involved with municipal politics because I love federal politics, but I was curious about their platform, and I had the pleasure of speaking with the two guests I have here because I think this party is the future. I believe in their platform, and I think you guys should give them a shot if you really want true change. I'm joined by Julian D'Alessio and Gulnar Mousa. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you.
Was the introduction good?
It was good. It was
Perfect.
good.
Very good.
That's what I will try to do. So, guys, obviously Montreal is an amazing city. You know, we want to make it. We want to help improve it. But after 7 years of the incumbent, I feel it's time for a change. So, what makes so how does Futur Montréal start, and why did you guys get involved? So, I want to go first with, as they say, ladies first.
Yes.
Gulnar.
Thank you so much, Drew. So, as the name indicates, Futur Montréal, I decided to join this party because the name really, implies a brighter future for the city of Montreal and for our bureau. I'm not a career politician. Most of our team, actually, all of our team are not career politicians. We are community grassroots people. I have been involved in different community organizations in NDG for over a decade. I have actually lived in NDG for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. I raised my two kids here. They attended schools, CJEPs, universities. They went to parks. They used the bus. So, this is where my whole life is. And that's why I decided to step in and serve on the board of directors of several community organizations. And I really believe in the past 20 years we've seen, how things were going with the two main parties going back and forth, and with the cuts, with the reforms that they did to the finance that our bureau is doing. And that's why I joined the party and I decided to run, because if you want to change, you have to be part in it.
Very true. Amazing answer. And that's the thing. You can't stay on the sidelines. Julian, by the way, before you say why you're joining, we might have a bonus guest with your brother who's running in Westmount. So
no, he's running in NDG.
NDG?
Yeah.
See, this is
it says we work in Westmount.
They work in Westmount.
That's right.
Okay, so the D'Alessio brothers, they're in Futur Montréal. What are the odds two brothers join the same party? So Julian, why did you get involved?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I got involved. And I don't speak as, clear and eloquent as Gulnar. She's a pro. So you're going to get the raw and unfiltered version.
That's
and
fine.
The way it is. So one day, late August, Gulnar reached out to me asking me, well, first she called me and she said, by the way, I got some good news. So I said, oh my gosh, she hit the lotto and she's going to give me some money and I could retire. And she's like, no. She said, I'm running for mayor of NDG. I said, oh my God, which I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised, but I was like, Gulnar running for NDG. I grew up in NDG. I'm an NDG boy from below the tracks. It's been divided, below the tracks, above the tracks since the beginning of time. And I have a special place in my heart for NDG and Côte-des-Neiges. I never called it Loyola or Darlington. It was always NDG and Côte-des-Neiges. And we used to have a little joke saying it's the French NDG, because it was mostly the French. And we used to have sporting events against each other. So she turns to me and she says she wanted me to join the party. So I didn't know how to handle that. I was like, okay, I'm not a politician. I don't do type stuff like that. But I've always been implemented in the community or doing volunteering, coaching football, flag football for kids, junior kids with FPF. It was a big flag plus football. And I coached at the Villa Maria, the girls, secondary 4 and 5, and hockey in Westmount. So I've always been that type of person. So I was debating whether I should do it. So I said, how am I going to handle that? Knowing the type of person I am, I said, I don't want to know nothing about the party. I don't want to know nothing about anything. I based my decision on one thing, the person who asked me.
Oh.
And because the person who asked me, seriously, I mean, I swear to you, it's not, you can call my wife right now live to see if this true story is true, because she went on the website. She's going to check it out. She's my personal secretary, and I don't pay her though. And she went on and she kept telling me, you got to read this, you got to read this, you got to check it out. And I said, I don't want to check nothing out. So I was basing my thoughts because I knew the integrity of Gulnar. I knew the type of person she was. And for her to be asking me and for her to be doing something which she was approached by, I'm not going to mention names or parties, and she declined. And she told me the story. She told me how this happened. So by me reflecting, I said, well, if Gulnar's asking me to do something like that as a city councilor, she has a trust in me. She knows me. And we've met for, it's about three years plus, and it was all by a little fluke. So too long of a story to explain. And that's when I said yes. I said, okay, Gulnar, this is the way she is. If she's representing this, then she must be it must be reflecting the same type of values and person that she is. So it's an instant yes. And then the minute I said yes, I went to go check out the platform. I went to check out Futur MTL, who Jean-François Kakou is, Joel, Matthew Kerr, Cosimo, and the whole gang. But that's the truth. That's how I joined. And I'm telling you, that's it. I didn't check it out until I said yes. Luckily, it worked out. Probably.
It's a lovely
what I mean? I could have retracted it. But I didn't. So based on her is the reason why I said
But
yes.
see, this is the attitude we need in our like modern
This
politics,
is the truth,
municipal
though.
politics. You know, we need like new voices, fresh ideas, different approach. In 2025, municipal politics, I believe, should be different than the old political patterns that we have been seeing in the past 20 years. This is the type of spirit we need in the office, in our bureau.
And just so you know, that wasn't a decision that took me 1 or 2 days. That was like about a week and a half,
Back
2
and
weeks.
forth.
I'm serious.
They were back and
I'm
forth.
serious.
Yeah.
Because I was questioning myself. You know what I mean? I know my capabilities. I know what type of person I am. I'm a person that, wants to help people, wants to do better for people. Because if you have a position of power, not power, but if you have a position where you can help others and you don't do it, then you're just wasting the position. That's the way I am, and I know that's the way she is. And it's not an ego thing where I gotta walk around and like I'm better because I'm helping people. I don't care about that. I've never put myself first. She knows it.
And
my
I
friends
know you
know it.
mentioned earlier federal and provincial politics. Well, municipal politics is different from the way that federal and provincial politics. Municipal politics is about service, like serving people. It's not about being a real politician. Like you're you're affecting people's daily lives. Services, road maintenance, snow removal, your city councilor. You know how many people I asked, do you know your city councilor? And they said no.
Nope.
People don't even know their city councilor. The one person that you should go to in case of something happens on your street, like a flood, whatever, a problem happens, they don't know people. There is a lack of communication and engagement between, elected officials and the residents.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so we really need to build rebuild that bridge, where I believe we have to actively listen to people, be engaged with them and listening to them, and they need to know who they are representing them on that city council.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the mayor, it's the councillor themselves. So what are you guys, so Projet Montréal has their way of doing stuff, Ensemble has their way, but I feel you guys are a bit different because you're going out meeting with actual constituents, you're talking with them, you're not just like saying, oh yeah, I want to run. Where do you feel that this is this new way of having not just dialogue, but really like building the relationship? Do you feel this is something that can help Futur Montréal succeed as a party?
Of course, 100%. That's the ground, the foundation of it. Be in the community, talk to the community, come see the business owners, come and see the residents, talk with them, find out what's going on, speak to the leaders within the community. Everybody has that one leader. And if you check NDG Côte-Neige, my God, the multiculturalism inside is huge. It's huge. And each one has an advocate. The Filipinos will have one, the Jewish people will have one, the people in NDG will have one, like one in Côte-Neige. There's places that they need food. There's the MATA that we went to go and see. NDG Food Bank.
Food
There's
insecurity.
a lot of resources that are out there. You just have to go and get it. The way I see a city councilor is, it's funny enough that we're in a restaurant, you're a waiter. You order lobster. I come back with a club sandwich. You're gonna say, what's the first thing you're gonna say? You're gonna say, bro, I didn't order.
Didn't order a club sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna be okay. I'll be right back. Imagine sitting at that table for 2 days waiting for me to come back with an answer. It shouldn't take that long, logically, right? I should be able to go to the kitchen, come back, and give you 1 or 2 answers. Either I screwed up, or the chef screwed up, because you didn't. You ordered that, right? So being a city councilor, if that's the situation, I got to come back with at least 1 solid answer out of the 2 choices. By the way, I brought the wrong table. It's for the other table over there. I screwed up. I gave the chef the ticket, and it said club sandwich, but that was for the other table. I'm going to give you an answer. That's the hardest part, it seems to me, from city council part, is coming back and telling them why, within a reasonable amount of time. Obviously, this is very small compared to what people want answers for. But if you come back and I say, if you take it to a garbage thing or a snow removal thing or a handicap access thing, okay, that's going to take a little bit longer, right? We know that. And I tell you, give me a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks turns into a couple of months, turns into a couple of years. That's a problem. City council, you'll have the number, you'll have the email. You can call the little place in Montreal that represents where the directors work, the directors of public work. You're going to have access to them, which is access to, let's say, me or the city councilor. And that's when you're going to be like, guy, I asked you about so-and-so. You told me a couple of weeks. I gave you a chance. Now it's a couple of months. I call you back and I tell you, I didn't forget. Sorry, I've been doing this, and that, but I got some more info. Thanks for getting back to me. You're reminding me because there's not just one person you're taking care of. You're taking care of the whole community. So there could be a reason why. So if I give you an answer within a couple of months, hey, here's my brother showing up.
Hey, we got the bonus guest.
Here we go.
Hey, hi.
I'll get back to you 2 seconds with that finish.
Come,
Or can you?
come, hi.
Yeah.
We're not gonna edit this out because we got a bonus guest.
Yes.
So we're gonna
He
keep
just
it
show up.
rolling. He just showed up. We got the
Sit
brother.
next to Gulnar,
It's
Anthony.
the next to
Yes,
Yeah, of course.
come.
We got Run NDG. So
Yeah, we have the whole NDG.
Fashionably late, my brother.
By the way, I just want to
The
say
D'Alessio brothers.
The D'Alessio brothers.
The D'Alessio
we
brothers.
got the D'Alessio
This
brothers.
is now a new wave in
It's a new wave.
NDG.
We got a new wave. We got 2 brothers running NDG. No, by the way, guys, I want
2
to
dedicated, brothers. And by the way, I have to mention, they might not tell you, they both come from a family very rooted in community service and advocacy. Both of their parents, I had the pleasure to meet their mother. She was involved. They're like people telling me the stories of their father, late father. So that's who the D'Alessio brothers.
Wow.
Not just 2, people
Well, you
who
saw
showed up
firsthand
on-
yesterday at the NDG, at the St. Raymond Center.
Yes, we
at
were
the
at the
awards.
St. Raymond. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows.
The only difference is he's a Yankees fan. I'm a Jays fan. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
I'm a Senators fan. So,
Are you?
No, see, my brother.
Okay, you're in trouble.
My
now.
brother he's not too well versed in the sporting venues. I'm a Jays fan and a Yankees fan. You have to pick 2 teams.
Okay.
But back in the day, the Expos existed.
That's true.
So I was a diehard Expos fan.
That's true.
And a Yankees fan.
Okay.
I didn't like the Jays because now you got 2 teams in Canada playing against each other. But once they got rid of the Expos, I have no choice. I got to root for it. So if the Jays met the Yankees in the World Series, which they can't, but if, like right now, they just played each other, it was a win-win for me. But I was still rooting for the Jays. I
And
have
that's
to.
where
Canada
politics
first.
meets sports.
Oh yeah. It's
That's where
the
politics
fundamentals.
But just quickly, because I do a podcast as well, but most of my sports world is like the UFC and the WWE.
How
so if
funny. Me too.
Are you?
I do
there you
politics
go.
and combat sports.
Are
you
you
guys
serious?
are doing a network. What?
My brother, right away.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Well, that's my, because I have a show called Ringside Report. I was on
Okay.
TSN 690 for quite a bit of time, and then we moved over to podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah, but that's my game. It's
Nice.
the UFC and WWE. man.
Nice. My combat sport I do is Kyokushin karate.
Sure, I know a lot. That's where George St. Pierre
Yeah.
got his black belt.
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
I do that. So I'm the content creator for Kyokushin. I did some MMA
wow.
guests too. I just got back from the Netherlands and I got
Okay.
to hang out with former MMA legend Gulnar Mousa.
Man, he's one of the best of all time, man.
The best.
That's amazing.
Yeah, middleweight legend. Yeah, so it's like that was like my dream come true. That's the guy that got me into fighting.
And I'm sad that he left because
Yeah.
he left the UFC. It was too bad we didn't see him come back. That was like that's hard.
See, Gegard, you got love in Canada too.
Hey.
I was with him, and he's like, he doesn't really. Gegard's kind of like, he's not like, he doesn't. He's like he's like an anti-hero where he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about all that. Like, he just does his fighting. He's like not like George, where George is like ready to do all that and knows when to be on camera. Gegard's like, it's like I don't care. But that's what I like about him. So,
Yeah, but he was one of the best of all times. You know, on the top 10, he's there. You know, but it's a shame.
Middleweight, Mount Rushmore, 185. Reason why I do what I do. So, you know, Anthony, see, I got confused there.
AJ, they called me, no problem.
So obviously, you know, you're talking about too, like you're like saying how it's like a restaurant.
Yeah.
I like that analogy a lot because honestly, as we were telling you, Anthony, before you came, about like how the problem of city councilors is like there's like this whole red tape mess where we're waiting weeks and on months, and that creates this disconnect and distrust. What Gulnar was saying was that like people don't really have connection with their city councilor, and we want to change that. And that's what I think Futur Montreal wants to do. It's in the platform. It says we want to make a transparent dialogue, not just to win the election, but we want to continue that consistently, like maybe every week coming down to the community centers, going into...
Well, that's exactly how you do it. You're not going to go around knocking to every door to finish off what I was saying.
Right.
Like, a couple of months is a little excessive, but if there's a reason, then it's okay. But if you keep contact with the community, that's perfectly well said, because that's one of the things that I would do. You would meet at a certain location, and the residents can come and, you know, voice their concerns, or at least be in contact with the people that are within the community, and they can spread the word for you. You know, it's like a volunteer thing, but there's a lot of people that care about the community and they want to help. If you keep in touch with them, they spread the word, and then there's a constant communication. That's what seems to be missing, like Gulnar said.
But also we have to work on like a digital platform where we have that direct, you know, like people can reach us directly. You don't have to leave a message and wait for months. So it should be, we should like really work on, you know, reducing the gap between the elected officials and the constituents and build a trust. Because once the constituents started trusting their elected...
That's right.
As you know, like in the past municipal elections, only 32% of the population voted. That tells you when only 1/3 of our population is voting in municipal elections, that says something. That people do not probably trust, you know, whoever they are voting for.
100%.
And we need to change that because we are the voice of those constituents, you know, each in our district, me being like the elected mayor, we are the voice of everyone, not only 30% of the people.
Right.
We should be the voice of the majority
100%.
Of the constituents.
Regardless of anything.
But the thing is that, I was going to say is that you got to have a connection with your community, and that starts before politics. So the problem with it is that a lot of politicians, they get into it and then they start going and meeting and greeting. You know, you got to be there from the beginning. And a lot of times you got to be living in that community to understand what the community needs are. And, you know, look, you know, I heard everything. Today I heard that we're like a fringe group, you know, coming in as a political party. And if that's the case, fine, be it. The difference is that, you know, for a party to run, they got to listen to everybody. People that like them, people that don't like them. The most important thing is that if you win, there'll be people that obviously voted against you. You still got to serve them. You're here to make a better community. And to be honest, like I said on World Food Day, I said everybody's there. Every candidate that's there from opposing parties or whatnot, we're all there for the same reason, to make sure that our community is better. And I respect all of them, you know, every one of them. And you know, the most important thing is for us. For Futur Montreal is to really listen to the people. And I've seen a lot of like the political statements and the stats and this and that. You know, we can't really come across that because we're not there. But the ones who are there, you know, they should be able to have found a better solution to where we are now. A lot of people, Montreal is better. Look, is it that better? Our homelessness has gone through the roof. You know, affordable housing is like since 2019, it's 72% increase. That's insane. How are you supposed to survive? And then on our World Food Day, people can't have, you know, the capability to get quality food when they can't even pay their rent. So, like, how do we fix this? I mean, Montreal is going into a hole from what I see, and I'm a ground roots guy. I can see it. I can see it through my community. I work for the YMCA. I see it through the YMCA community. I see that on a daily basis, and it's frustrating. So, in my opinion, Gulnar, my brother. You know, Gulnar as a mayor running for NDG, I've never seen someone work as hard as this lady.
Oh my God.
She's incredible.
Not even a joke.
She's involved with everything. She's an action. I'm not just saying it because Gulnar is here. I'm saying it because I didn't know Gulnar before, and I only looked
Thank
at
you.
her through her actions, and I'm like, wow, this is who you need for NDG. You need someone who's going to be able to represent and who's going to be able to commit and listen to the constituents. Even if I don't win, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to support Gulnar 1,000%. And going even further, the mayor of Montreal has to be someone who's not 4 quarters to a dollar that we see. Same people, different names, but it's the same thing. That's an inaction with people that come in running for mayor that don't even live in really Montreal that long, in some sense. I won't get into that whole thing, but let's be honest. We need somebody who is going to be there, who's going to create action, someone who's going to be listening, someone who knows his stuff, and that's Jean-François Coucou. Look at the platform. Take a look at what he does. I mean, this man has gone so viral online. He's got over 1.1 million views. That says something. Yet, we're not even getting a capability to have this man debate the so-called leaders. That's totally like unfair. You know, people are expressing that at all levels, like to my face, online, and everything. So we need to get JFK to be there to show what he can do, what he's capable of doing. He's done a lot for Percy and Gaspésie. He's done a lot on the AI, including talking about with the community where they're creating an app. So there'll be a closer relationship between questions throughout the community, you know, and the leaders who are going to be representing. The thing is JFK is there. He's a guy that I've been looking at. And you know what, to be honest, I'm a little bit of, you know, I came from down below the tracks. I have to say, yeah, I came from down below the tracks. You know, it's not like I don't trust people. They have to earn my trust. You know, and I got to see that through action. And that's what I said about Gulnar. I know my brother.
That's where me and my brother. That's where me and my brother are different.
Yeah, but he's better than me. I give him hands down. He's better than me.
I'll give the trust. It's for you to lose it. That's the way I am.
Yeah.
My brother, you have to earn it.
And that's what JFK is going to do. I mean, this man is a hard worker.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's putting out videos to address all the concerns, and he's putting his words to action. So he has to be accountable for everything he says. And he's online. He's not just going to people and like the rest of he's online. So whatever he said last week is still available today. He can't back out from it. And if he does, I'll be honest, like me and my brother, we know one thing. If we don't have faith in our leader, I'll walk away.
Yeah. Of course.
I'll walk away. You know, it's not about money. I don't even know the whole thing about that. It's about serving our community and serving our city well before we start looking like Detroit.
It's exactly. That's the one thing too I've noticed with Montreal. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, saying off the record, not in a bad way, Olivier Primo, the guy who runs Beach Club, he said recently, he's like, Montreal, like I'll say it in French. And by the way, for those who see this, my French is terrible. I'm really sorry. So I'm going to say it as best I can. He said, he's like, Montreal a perdu l'élégance. And like, and I'm paraphrasing. And he said, we've lost our luster. Like everything's going to Toronto or
The
elsewhere.
identity's gone.
The identity's leaving. I go downtown. Gulnar, Anthony, Julian, I don't feel safe downtown. I don't feel it's the downtown of 20 years ago where I enjoyed going. Like I would enjoy going to Simon's just to window shop for hours. Now it's like if I go downtown, it's like it's the construction, the homelessness, the crime. It's like it's just. I think COVID destroyed it, and we haven't. And you know, those are external factors, but the incumbent party has a responsibility to play too, and saying, okay, we got to get this going again. But they're just the messaging and the actions delivered after COVID was it's just stagnant and we're losing. And I just don't feel like it's the Montreal
because there's no accountability, you know, like whatever has been the management of the resources of the city, there's no accountability. No one knows. You know, I've asked many people, do you check the financial reports of your city or of nobody knows, you know, how the budget is working and nobody's accountable for their actions.
They're expecting the people that were elected to take care of that for them. They're not there to start micromanaging budgets and numbers. They're expecting the people that are in place have their best interest at hand. So going back to what you were saying, yeah, COVID kind of put the chokehold on the city, but that was a slow chokehold that was being done for more than 20 years, and then all of a sudden, bam, the guy tapped out using my brother's MMA stuff, which I'm not an MMA guy. He got choked out, and he said, "That's it, I'm done." But that took years to happen.
Because
we lost
caught
professional
also
sports
the two
teams.
main
That's
parties,
it. Well,
back and forth.
You change $1 for 4 quarters, it's still $1.
Exactly.
You know?
And I don't want to go into it like, you know, I work for the YMCA. I've been there for over 10 years. But prior to that, I was in the hotel industry. So I've seen the better days of the hotel industry. I was in the hotel industry since the 90s. So I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I started as a night bellman, and I made my way up to corporate sales. I made myself as an intern director of operations. I seen the best times of Montreal, the best, to the point where what I'm seeing now in the downtown core, yeah, I got to admit, there's some streets that are looking good through renovation and whatnot, but good streets and looking good means absolutely nothing when all businesses are literally closed. There's more Aloué signs out there than peanuts in a bag.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's depressing. I was out on De Maisonneuve and Crescent on a Friday at 8:30. Let me tell you, it was shameful. I remember the days past when you could be out on De Maisonneuve and Crescent Street at 8 o'clock and you couldn't find a table because it was so busy. And not just Crescent Street, all the streets across, it was just rocking. The problem is that anybody who says that Montreal is in a better position than the past, they are completely insane. I've been there when we used to bring in the Grand Prix, where it was so. I mean, our Grand Prix is like our ticket. But if we lose that ticket, what do we have left?
Just the NHL.
What?
The NHL, but even the
talking
NHL, I mean, it's not affordable for a family to go and watch a game. You got to spend who's going to have like $500 to bring their family out when, you know what I mean?
When you're saving on food.
When you're saving on
Yeah.
food, you
And
got
on
to.
rent.
Yeah. You're gonna go to a hockey game that
Me and
costs
my brother
$500.
used to go watch the
You're not gonna do
Habs
it.
play at
Are
the
you
old
kidding
Forum.
me?
We used to pay like $5 for like stand-up tickets back in the days. Like it was crazy, But the thing is that what I'm trying to get at is that we used to be able to farm out clients because there was no room in Montreal all the way to Ottawa. That's how busy it used to be. So think about it. The Grand Prix is still a very, very strong image of what Montreal is, to some extent. But don't compare it to what it was like in the 90s.
Can I also say to the high point? For me, the Grand Prix high point was the 30th anniversary back in 2008. I remember when I finished Sec 4, and that was like the big. And then we lost it for 1 year, and because of
Well, that's it.
Ecclestone.
Yeah.
That
You
30th
toyed with
anniversary.
the Grand Prix.
Yeah, the Grand Prix. I remember
I
that's
can't
when
believe we
Montreal
actually
was
kept
at
it.
At the top. An international city, right?
Yeah.
Started in the 60s as a big
But it was
international city.
still losing its luster in 2008. You want to model what Montreal was. I always look at the 90s. I mean, nothing is perfect, but let me tell you, it was a lot more perfect in some sense. So the decline, like my brother said, has been over the last 20 years. And in the last 5 years, I don't care where you are in Montreal. I mean, there's some areas, I'll give them some credit, like near the Peanut area, near the Olympic Stadium, they've done a really good, bike construction, a safe construction for bikes, a safe, area to walk. I mean, housing is still sort of semi-affordable, but what about the rest of Montreal? Look at the NDG Côte-Neige borough, like one of the biggest boroughs in Montreal, probably one of the highest tax-paying, areas of Montreal. What do they get back? And Gulnar can explain this better than I.
Heavily underfunded.
Heavily
Côte-Neige
underfunded.
by the
So,
city center.
so what are we going to do? Are we going to wait till, Côte-Neige is it's a completely different world there too now. It doesn't make sense. We have to find a balanced budget. We have to put a mayor that's in place that is going to respect and understand business fairness and values. And I don't want to get into the dirty politics, but I've seen some things on this campaign where I'm like, I'm shaking my head. It scares me too. And you know what? Coming from down below the tracks, we're used to toughness. As wrestlers, we're tough. But what I'm seeing is we need change, and we need change now because we don't have much time left. And you want to compare the candidates, you have to. Everything's about comparing, but you got to be able to listen to them at the highest level for a debate and to see what they really sound like, what they really think like, and then you make that decision because municipal politics, we have the lowest level of voters that come out, 32%, which is a shame. But the most important thing is municipal elections. How are you supposed to push the provincial and federal government if you don't have a good voice and you let things just spread out like a bad COVID disease? You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. So we need to have Jean-François Coucou on those debates. I don't want to start using, certain cards, but at this point, it seems to be that. If you have, a third choice, in my opinion, is Futur Montreal, they should be there. and they're not. So I'm questioning all media, like, you know,
Makes
what's
sense.
going on.
Well, I would host him. I mean, hey, Jean, if you want to come on, I'd be
Yes.
glad to host you.
No.
And hopefully we propel you. My door's always open.
Gulnar will text him right after
Yes.
this.
But we need to have,
He won't refuse it.
the other mayors to be
Yeah.
on that. They need to have a debate, and I think
He's
that's a
being
great
excluded from
Oh, yes.
debates.
No, he's being
All
excluded.
the debates is being directly
Yeah.
Being excluded.
and this is not democratic.
No,
you know,
you
like
gotta be included.
democracy.
It's not like it's like everything I've heard of. Like I've watched on social media. The guy seems amazing. He's very forward thinking. He's a mix of
Bold vision.
because I vote federally conservative. But what I like about Jean-François, when I saw his platform, it's including those who would vote conservative. He wants those voices. All right, guys. So we had a bit of a glitch there. The opposition parties did not want us to air this interview. That's a bad joke. It's democracy. So as we were saying, when it comes to the platform, I mean, JFK, yeah, I'd love to have him on. I think it would be great, you know, to platform him. And obviously, if the leaders want to come on, I'm open for that too. If Olivier Primo could do it by having different people on, I could do the same because I want to have Olivier on too because Olivier is one of he's like a new voice in politics and he got me involved in a way too. I always take inspiration from everyone around me. I always try to look at the positives there. But what's the platform of Futur Montreal, to stay on topic? I like what I see. Progressive in digitalization. We want to utilize technology and AI. We want to make safer public transit. Maybe actually, look, one party wants to say, we're going to make a new line of the metro. That's kind of wishful thinking with no money. But how would Futur Montreal help improve the public transit system? Because I take public transit, I think it's great, but it does need improvement.
Well, the Futur Montreal is committing to actually like implementing 100% electric bus in our public transportation across the city of Montreal. So talk about sustainability and environment, you know, clean energy buses, increase the bus lanes in NDG, specifically West NDG. We really need to focus on that. I know the bike path is an important thing that has been dominating, you know, the municipal level in the city of Montreal and in the bureaus. But I believe in a public transport, really improving our public transport network is vital, more than just adding. We are putting a freeze, by the way, on new bike path. Just so we are clear.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, JFK, because honestly...
That's the policy, the vision, the city vision is to put a freeze on the bike path and study the existing ones, improve the safety, because we've all heard about, you know, accidents, things that are not like safe for pedestrians. We have to be inclusive. We have to think of like pedestrians. We have to think of like the people with limited mobility. We have to think of like we're seeing schools, place of worships, churches. They can't even like, you know, use the space in front of their you know, the institutions. Rehab centers, you know, like we really need to configure, and that's what we are committing to in Côte-des-Neiges NDG. We are committing to within the city vision to reconfigure, you know, the bike path and focus on public transportation and offer an inclusive, you know, like service to everyone.
Makes sense. What do you think about that, Anthony?
Well, you know, like transportation is so important, and what people, you know, don't realize, and you can fact check this as well. In the next 5 years, which is not too far, we're going to have the highest number of seniors in the world here in Quebec. The highest number of seniors. We're going to be ranked, I think it's around 4th, not even as a country. Like we have more seniors in Quebec than there'll be across Canada or anywhere. It's insane. So what are we going to do to alleviate like these transportation nightmares? And not only on like in the sense of like someone young who's taking public transport. I think you know, 100% electric buses need to be manufactured here in Quebec, creating jobs and whatnot. But we got to look at our seniors. So if we're going to have the highest living number of seniors in Quebec, there's going to be a lot more transportation needs, adapted needs, and whatnot. What do we got to do? We got to start looking at that. We don't have much time. It's 5 years. So we got to have dedicated lanes for transportation for just the public, but we need to have emergency lanes. We need to create all this. And listen, bike paths, I'm a biker. I love biking.
I love biking too.
I love biking, but it has to be make sense biking. And the thing is that I've seen some bike paths where they just lead to nowhere, just like into an abyss. How does that make sense? They just laid it out just to lay it out for whatever reason. It's got to be smart, it's got to be intelligent, and it's got to be safe. I'm talking about the bike paths. And it's got to be like, you know, inclusive for everybody, because most of those bike paths are just meant for a certain age category, not for like kids. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to put my kid, I have a kid of 5 years old, on those bike paths alone. There's no way, especially near Terrebonne and all that kind of stuff. Forget it. We've already seen like major accidents, and you can check that up. But going back to the transportation, it's so important that we got to find a solution. It might not be 100%, but we got to hit as close to 100% within the next 5 years, or we're going to have issues. Hospitals are going to be jammed. Rehabilitation centers are going to be jammed. I see that at where I work in a community center. I mean, the seniors, are the future of Quebec in the next 5 years. So what are we going to do? And I think there has to be a plan where we got to look at both sides. Obviously, public transportation, how to increase it. Our times have to be like really 15-minute max.
15,
not waiting for a bus
frequency.
like, on our peak hours where you're waiting 45 minutes to an hour, where people are getting late to work. And I know this for a fact. They're getting late to work, and there's a certain point where people lose their employment, not because of their job qualifications. It's just that they're not meeting the times. So who's at fault here? It's the city that's at fault. You know what I mean? This is disgusting. This is not just, and we got to fix that. People need to live, and they're being held hostage by strikes, bad transportation, bad planning for transportation, and we got to look at, like, our party says, we got to look at something to do sustainably with electric buses. We got to find a way to encompass everything. So again, it's something that, like, at a mayoral level.
One important point with public transport is the public safety at night. We have to also be,
I need to address that. Yeah.
some more women have been, complaining about, like, so we really have to also focus on public safety around,
And not to jump in, Gulnar, like you were saying
please.
earlier, is that, like, we saw public safety as an issue, in certain areas. We were campaigning in NDG down below the tracks, and talking and whatnot, and mental health issues are on the increase. I see that enough in my work environment, and we're trying our best to get organizations to help. Mind you, that's another story where I'd like to have a lot of, like, there's over 60 different organizations in the NDG Côte-Neige area. We need to put them under kind of one roof to be able to help all organizations and all people of need quickly, not forgotten. But back to what I was saying is that we were campaigning and whatnot, and on the corner of my eye, I see a guy, and he kind of puts his bike next to the Bixi stand, but it's not a Bixi bike, and I thought I saw a hammer in his hand, and then I see the guy beelining towards me, and I'm thinking, and he's got his chest out and he's screaming, and Gulnar's talking with, like, all the different citizens and whatnot, and I thought he was coming to hit me with a hammer. So I was like, I hate to say it, but I was getting ready for defending myself. But he beelined across me, and he started walking, and he walked into a restaurant, and I said to Gulnar, I said, Gulnar, give me a sec. I got to go see if I really saw what I saw, a hammer. So I go to his bike. So not only does he have a hammer, he has a sledgehammer. Okay, so and he's not a construction guy. He's obviously has some health issues. And I see him walking back and forth, and he starts circulating around the kids' park, and he's circulating and whatnot. And I said to Gulnar, you know what? I'm going to call the police. Because there's something, a flag is up. I know that this is not going to
end well.
This is not going to end well. And it gets worse because he starts walking around, and he comes back with a carpet, rope, and gloves. So, I mean, I've watched enough CSI to know that, those ingredients are probably not going to be good. So I call up the police. They did come, like, in pretty good timing.
They did.
I must say.
Yes.
In about 8 minutes,
they were there.
And, they did approach the guy. They did thank us to say, listen, that it was probably a good thing, and they couldn't do anything because they couldn't hold him because obviously he didn't commit a crime. But they did take away, like, his weapons and whatnot, and they were perplexed as well, and they were like, thanks for calling us. And it was a precautionary call. But all to say is, this is what we're facing in the daytime. At nighttime, it's a completely different world where it's like times 10 of things that's going on. And a lot of these mayors and a lot of politicians that have been involved for a long time, they don't see the reality of what happens in the streets of Montreal. They're not taking the bus at midnight, coming back from their job, or coming back from their friends, or whatever, taking the subway, or walking the streets of Montreal. They're not seeing that, and this is the problem. So they want to work with the Montreal citizens, but they're not really there to understand what Montreal citizens have to face on a daily basis. And when you're a healthy young guy, it's one thing, but coming back at night with kids, even myself, with a 5-year-old kid, I'm, like, always on the alert. It's scary, and we've seen that firsthand.
We need more
afternoon day at 2:00, and we need
more presence.
We need
police.
more presence, you know, and not to jump into that. Like one thing that I've learned, and I saw that Westmount does very well. Westmount has a great community policing program, and I got to give credit to like Mike and Manny, two police officers that are out there that work with the community, are going to restaurants, they're meeting the people, they're helping seniors lift boxes, and this is what we're missing. We need community policing where the community knows the police officers, feels comfortable with those police officers, and can call them up at any time. And that they are the liaison to emergency situations or whatever level that is. And we got to start working with community programs all across the boroughs. And I'm going to talk NDG, Cotonage. Every area of NDG needs guys like Mike and Manny. And I've seen these guys performing, and Westmount does it great. So we need to bring that into Cotonage.
In NDG's case, they closed the police station, you know.
Yeah, but in the difference, because I work in Westmount, and I work for the city of Westmount, so I know all about the details when it comes to every day with the Westmount residents, the city councilors that they have, and the way they function throughout the city. They have their own public security, which is one thing that every demerged city like Westmount, Kirkland, Côte Saint-Luc, they have a presence on the streets.
Finance.
They can finance their own stuff properly, and the citizens that cry out more safety, more safety, more safety, well, they react with it, and they have the public security. I play softball in Kirkland, and we have to be out of that park by 11:15, 11:20. Exactly at that time, public security passes by. They don't come there and scold us or anything, but they're like, guys, you gotta go. It's time. The lights are going to be turned off. The residents don't want to hear you talk about that little home run that you hit. You know what I mean? But it's the truth. But the Westmount Public Security does the same thing. They patrol the streets, and they go around and they keep, the citizens safe. There was one incident that happened not too long ago. I'm not going to mention names, but because of the public security officer that intervened in a situation where a girl got attacked. Yeah. And she got stabbed multiple times.
So basically, all the demerged cities from Montreal, they do a better job, and I believe it's a model that's been there. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel?
There's no wheel that needs to be invented. And if you look at Cotonage and NDG, just look at the map that's around it. You have Westmount. Snowden touches Westmount. Snowden touches Hampstead. Côte Saint-Luc. TMR. There's something wrong. Because those neighborhoods, they look good. I'm not saying NDG and Cotonage don't look good. What I'm saying is, why do they not have the right to have the same type of services or the same type of living standards based on, obviously, the taxes, like Gulnar said, that doesn't come back, the funding doesn't come back.
Proper transfers from the city central.
Before you start blasting fireworks in the sky, maybe you want to make sure the garbage is picked up properly.
And make sure the communities are safe too. So
I don't know.
Exactly.
The basic human rights that everybody deserves to have.
Safe.
I'm not saying that those boroughs are better than anybody else. I'm just saying it's managed the way we want to manage it, and the way Futur Montreal wants to manage it. Because it's one city, one future, and that's the motto of Futur Montreal.
But if the city central keeps cutting the transfers that NDG is receiving, how can we, you have a budget, right?
Use your analogy that I've heard you say many, many times, and it's perfect. Yeah, the 15-10.
Exactly. Like if you need 15 to run something and you're receiving 10 and it keeps going down, this 10 is going like, how do you run? That's how it's happening.
And then you have
We're heavily underfunded.
Exactly.
We pay high property taxes.
And then every year, what keeps happening every year? Cost of living. Your 15 is now 18, is now 19, and you're still getting your 10.
And that's why now they're cutting on the lighting on streets like Monkland. Imagine a commercial, like main artery. Yes, the lighting. Exactly.
Yeah, but heaven forbid.
And that, that would go, like, again, back to the public safety. No proper lighting on our streets, in our parks. Like, what do you expect? You would start seeing all
with the technology we have now, if you're worried about the lighting, there's something called the sun that's going to actually illuminate the lights without costing any money. I don't know. It's not rocket science.
You have to be thinking like in a progressive,
Futur Montreal. It's in the name. Way. It's branded Futur Montreal. That doesn't forget its past, but just wants to bring it back to where it was and keep going forward. You spoke about the metro line. Now, I'm not going to get into that because there's municipal, there's governments.
That's too much.
That's too much. But how long did it take them to figure out the blue line needed the extension? We knew that for years.
We've known that forever. Like,
Imagine you would have started building it 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Or you knew that.
See,
How long did it take to finish Laval? Remember, every year, like.
and that's why when people like ask me, oh, what's your biggest, project that you want to do in Côte d'Ivoire NDG? I say, I don't have a big project. Like, because I believe like solving all those issues, housing affordability, tenants' rights, public safety, sports and recreation, making our, like space for people. Like yesterday, people need a space to gather, communities need to gather. We have so many issues that we need to be working on to solve, rather than just giving an imaginary, or like just launching empty promises. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Listen, we have a limited budget that we are receiving, and we have to manage our finances in a good way. Spend wisely.
You're not going to go buy $500 shoes, and you don't have a suit to go to your cousin's wedding. Get the suit, worry about the shoes later, or take that $500 and buy yourself a nice little wardrobe, because no one's going to really care what you look like. You're presentable. You're going to a wedding. But that seems to be it. Let me spend our money. What we think we need to do this. How about the little park in Côte d'Ivoire that still doesn't have a basketball court for the guys that want to play basketball? Because it starts in the community.
They can't find a place to play.
That's all I did growing up was playing sports. Sport, and it starts
There's
within
a
the community.
chalet in the Western NDG that has been renovated, but closed. Like the community doesn't have access to. The Concordia students, the singers basketball team, they were telling me the other day, they don't have access to the Benny Sports Complex. Why do we build sports facilities and spend millions of dollars on renovating chalets if we're not going to make it at the disposal of our community? We keep it locked, that.
The one in Oxford Park. I still call it Oxford Park.
Actually, so at Canada Day, in fact, you can see a video of me looking, and I look at the chalet, and it's the first time I see lights open and the door open. And I said it's like on tape. And I said, well, it must be election time because the rest of the year, this is closed. We have a chalet that could be used for many, many reasons, from co-op opportunities as a cafe, affordable cafe for the community so people can have a social place to go to and not feel like they're in a line at a food bank or that block or that building. You're out in the park. You're able to enjoy life. You should have the same rights like everybody else. So let's do something more with that chalet. Turn it into community organizations to have their Zumba classes, their chess clubs, sit down and have a cafe with affordable, means. We have the Marché, the Food Depot. There's a lot of organizations that would be great to be a part of. And that's the thing. You have all these resources and no one's tapping in. And on another part which really gets me mad is that there's no oversight. We have parks that are crumbling. We have dirty hockey rinks that are put up that are not even put up properly. We know that. We grew up in NDG and we know hockey. The thing is that you have boards that if you get into it a little bit too hard, they'll probably fall over. Graffiti all over the place. There's roads that are not fixed properly, sidewalks that are still cracked after. There's no oversight on the inspectors. There's no oversight over the developers. There's no oversight on anything. We're a shambles. And again, there's no oversight in looking at what we have as resources and turning it into something for the future. And that's an example with the chalets and whatnot all across the parks of Côte d'Ivoire and DG. We're really not tapping in, and it's a shame.
And also too with housing too, because we want to find a way to make affordable housing, and because property taxes, rents are going up, and I just don't feel like when I spoke with the other candidates in the party, they weren't giving me the answers I wanted. I was like, I live in Côte Saint-Luc, but I see what's going on next door, and it's still Montreal at the end of the day. My mom lived on Harvard. By the way,
where?
On Harvard, on
below or above?
Where the Couche-Tard is on Côte Saint-Luc.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, I know exactly.
That's very close to where.
Wow, so she used to live there, and great area, but it's like the cost of living is just getting so much, and obviously you're the city councilors and all, but what's Futur Montreal trying to find a way to work with the private sector to build more affordable housing, better rentals, because I think JFK has an idea of using technology with the private sector and say, look, yes, it's the government, but we don't want to be too hands-on. We want to do maybe a 50-50, 50% involved, you're 50% involved. Just as long as there's no bad actors doing under efforts, I should say.
Yeah.
So see, with housing, because I've been involved in that before it even became a crisis, for nearly 10 years. Housing is not just a flashy word that we can use in a campaign. It's really a very complex file that's tied to the Quebec of, like the government of Quebec, the government of Canada. Obviously, the funding comes from the government. Like people think that, you know, those co-ops, for example, or like social housing buildings that exist in NDG or Côte des Neiges, they're not owned directly sometimes by the city. They're owned by the Société d'Habitation de Québec. So I believe we should work, like from my own experience, we should develop a better communication, a better collaboration with the SHQ to be able to develop more. Futur Montreal and JFK are like working to cancel that 2020 rule that has been there for a while, where private developers would like be offered some incentives and be offering in return 20% of the building that are like developing for affordable housing and stuff. And you know what they do? They would like finish the building and pay the fine and cancel that 20%. So it's not working. It's a system that failed greatly. We all know that. Our party, JFK, our leader, proposed to come up with a kind of an investment fund that would bring in, you know, investments and put the return of this fund to finance community housing organizations that are struggling, you know, with the like high interest rates, you know, on the building, high rise, honestly, the real estate prices, you're talking about that sector in NDG, it's extremely expensive, you know, like the properties. So that would be reflected into the rent. We are going to defend tenants' rights. Like, you know, Renoviction has been like dominating the, you know, we have to work with, you know, with the TAL to kind of, you know, put things into perspective. So there's a lot to be done on the housing file. It's really complex, more than it shows. Like we can't throw like the Hippodrome. We're gonna build, you know, like we wanna build 10,000 units. We're gonna give 65, the other day the debate, 65% is gonna be social housing. When we say, what private developer is gonna come and, you know, work with 65% social housing? We have to be realistic. So yes, I believe we have to be private and public funds, bring it into this, because social housing means a lot of social services, a lot of intervention. Traffic, the congestion. Our party like now supports the extension, Cavendish extension. Now we're supporting it because if you're going to go ahead with the Hippodrome site and the Blue Bonnet project, you need to properly address the traffic and the congestion. We can't just say, see, it's not just the words we use. It's not a dream, I'm telling, as they say. It's not a dream. Of course I would love to, you know, develop as many units as we can.
It's perfect. I'll sum it up perfectly. I'm going to tell you I'm going to make a cheesecake for your birthday. Okay?
I love his food analogy.
Well, I did it for 20 years, and we're in a restaurant. But I'm going to tell you, it's your birthday. I'm going to make you a cheesecake. You're going to be all so happy and great, right? I've never baked a cheesecake in my life. Okay? What's the first thing I got to do?
Learn how to build the foundations.
Maybe I'm going to go on YouTube. Maybe I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to get the ingredients. I'm going to watch a guy or girl or whoever. Maybe you want to get into that. Making a cake, right? That's the first thing I need to do. I got a plan. Imagine I don't do that. Imagine I'm going to make you a cake for your birthday, a nice cheesecake, and then I'm going to bring it to you. I'm telling you right now, don't even eat it. Because God knows what I put in it. I don't know. I'm just going to throw stuff together.
You have to have a...
So that's...
thing kind of...
Trying to tilt it again.
Yeah.
They don't...
talking about cheesecake.
Yeah.
See, once again...
Well,
hey, buddy, you think you could help tilt it a bit?
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Just make sure...
I don't know when you want to stop also, Drew.
Yeah,
Let us know.
I like your jade. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every
buddy.
time we talk about the things and stuff like that, it tilts. Maybe they're listening.
Yeah.
So basically...
The opposition's listening.
If you,
We need
because
real solutions.
that's
We
the
need real
plan.
solutions.
If I'm going to
Practical.
propose to you, I'm going to make you a cake, you're going to be saying, I can't wait to try it. At least I'm going to go, and here's my plan. I'm going to tell you my plan. I've never made a cake before in my life. Now you're already aware.
Oh, no, it tilted again.
Here, I'll tilt with it.
Hey,
You get it?
Anthony's going to help.
That's it. Well, you should know how to do it.
No, I usually, there's other people that do this for me.
It's just his holding. Let's see if the holds.
To wait?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Perfect. For now. That's why we're going to finish it soon after
This is
Yes.
what,
Yeah,
this is
so
what
that's-
a political party has to do. They have to act.
You have to act. See?
So
And
solutions,
that's it.
real
So
solutions.
the plan is there.
Again, it's like...
Maybe it's
Where'd you buy it
maybe
from?
it's
Temu?
time we.
No, I bought it. It's DGI. This ain't team. I spent some good money on this. It cost a lot of money with with the taxes were taxed anyways. That's why you have to vote for Futur Montreal.
Yeah.
because
See
you
that?
will get taxed. Modern solutions, Modern problems
That's
require
right.
modern
But
solutions.
it's with the solution.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry
there's a
about that.
plan.
It's not like, yeah. You know what? Well, just in case you need to edit it from here, I'm just gonna try to bounce it. I think it was
Perfect.
now we're
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's maybe
Okay.
wrap up.
Don't knock on anything.
Don't
Yes.
knock on anything.
No slamming, no,
So,
nothing.
as we're saying, yeah.
So basically, with Gulnar's response, that's what it is. There's the plan, there's the idea, but here's the plan. You're going to be aware that I've never baked one before, but I'm going to take the time. Here's the ingredients. Here's the list. Where am I going to go and buy it? How am I going to get there? You know what I mean?
be
There's a plan.
transparent. You
There's
have
a
to be
plan.
transparent.
And it turned again.
Hey, buddy.
Do you mind?
Yeah, just hold
Sorry.
it for the time being. If
Yeah,
you
you don't
can.
mind?
There you go.
There we go.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Chef.
basically, to wrap it up,
The
for
chef.
housing, we need to be
Anyways.
realistic.
Yeah.
We need to offer practical solutions. We can't just,
No.
dream about things that are not
No.
going to happen.
No.
If we want certain projects to move forward, we have to be realistic.
Where can people connect, guys? So that's how we go. So, guys, make sure November 2nd, vote Futur Montreal if you want real change, because they are bringing change. Make sure to support Anthony D'Alessio, Gulnar Mousa, and Julian D'Alessio in NDG, Côte-des-Neiges, and Westmount, because they're bringing the real change, and that's why I'm Drew from the Drewsperience. I approve of this. Even though I live in Côte Saint Luc, I'm supporting Futur Montreal.
Oh,
Where can
thank
people
you.
connect with you guys on socials?
So through Future Montreal website, you can find all our stuff there and
Yeah.
all our emails
And on the Election Canada website, you'll
Election
see our
Canada.
profiles.
Our emails are all our first name at futurmontreal.com. So me,
That's right.
Gulnar at futurmontreal.com. Julian at
Julian.
futurmontreal.com, and Anthony at futurmontreal.com.
There
We're
you
on
go.
social
Hey.
media also. You can follow us and find out more. Thank
Yeah,
you.
let me just, there we go.
There you go.
We
Gulnar,
have a
where's
Gulnar
yours?
here.
Oh, Gulnar, look at this. I pulled yours out.
We got one here. We got Gulnar. We got Gulnar.
Oh,
we
yes,
got
okay.
Anthony as well. And we got
That's me.
Julian.
And
Oh, there's me. There's
there's
my mom.
Anthony.
There's Anthony.
Not the
There's-
best picture, but hey.
Hey, it makes two. So yeah, let me just, and then make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe button. Oh, Gulnar's fixing it. There
That's
we
it,
go.
Gulnar.
Gulnar, modern solutions right there.
Right there.
I'm gonna go hit the.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ed.
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew. I know
Way to
it
go,
was.
Gulnar.
It's a lot to talk about.
No,
It's
but
hard to